Right. So, we're going to be jumping into game number 4. So far, Djem5 is actually up 2-1. And it's a best of 5, so yeah, Djem5 only needs one more win to actually take this. So, at the top right, we're going to have trutacz as the brown Zerg on NeoJade. His opponent, up 2-1, is Djem5 as the teal Protoss at the bottom left. Now, NeoJade it's a map that I would say that actually favors the style that Djem5 likes to play. Because the good thing about NeoJade is, another map, if you're trutacz in this map, right, and you take your natural, if you take this third, the third is still actually a little bit away from the natural. And the good thing, this ramp actually is, you can send the Zealots here, you can send them here, and the distance is relatively the same, so you can choose on the fly. And also you have another entrance eventually if you want to use it, so I would say this map might favor the style that Djem plays. And also, another interesting thing, this map is also easy to split. Remember the map that actually trutacz won, the first one? It's also a map that is relatively, okay, it's not a similar map to this one, but it is similar in the idea that you can easily say how to split the map. And in this case, it's also the same. If you take like this half or this half, then you're splitting the map. So I would say that this is easier for Protoss to understand of, okay, if I want to continue to be ahead in the game and my opponent is taking the entire top, then I'll try to take the entire bottom. So again, I think this is a map that will favor a little bit Djem's style. I'm really interested to see if trutacz will try to modify something, because the first game really went well for him. The second, not really. Third, I would argue actually even worse. So, I mean, you'd probably want to change something if you were trutacz. Alright, let's see how he does anyway. So, we do see the force first. So, Djem5 had to take it because he doesn't find trutacz in this first position. And he's going to be starting the cannon before the Nexus. Okay. Kind of understandable, seeing that the Zerglings are already out. trutacz has been kind of on point on eliminating the probe extremely fast. Usually, microing the probe around and keeping it alive is difficult, and it costs you a lot of your APM, a lot of your multitasking. But so far, trutacz has been pretty good at taking it down relatively fast, or at least forcing it away, which is kind of the same thing, really. The reason why I find it kind of interesting is because microing Zerglings to kill the probe, I think Jaedong showed a few ways that you can do it, which is you select some of them and you just basically right click, and then you select another group and try to run in front of it, and then you snipe it. In both cases the idea is the same, but what I'm trying to say is it's really good because if you take down the probe early, your opponent really doesn't know what you're doing. Now, I do want to say something interesting about this double gateway style, which seems that Djem is going to be doing again. Shocker. One thing that I like about this style, that I remember I was thinking about it the last time. If you do the double gateway before the gas, a Hydra bust is pretty much non-viable for the Zerg. I think it's completely non-viable for the Zerg. Maybe it is. Of course, a better Zerg player than I, or a better Protoss, will definitely know much better than I do. But I think this basically allows you to make sure that you can play the same build over and over again without having to be afraid of, say, a Hydra Bust or a complete like 180 and, say, a 6 hatchery build, because you will see that with your Zealots and you will be putting pressure. So you're kind of forcing your opponent to do something in particular. Anyway, we do see that the Zealots are coming out and they're already heading for the base of trutacz. And trutacz is actually kind of ignoring it with the Zerglings, like letting it get through. And still making a little bit more drones. And more drones. No more Zerglings so far. I mean, 6 Zerglings, I think it's not enough to deal with this amount of zealots. Whoa. That micro. Yeah, and Djem5 is gonna wait for his other 2 zealots. He's gonna go with 4? No, he's gonna wait for another one. So with 5 and a probe? Seems so. He's gonna scout ahead with a probe. Select 6 zealots. That's a pretty dangerous amount now. We do have speed links. But how many of there are out? 13 against 5 zealots? You don't want more. 17, okay, that's about right. 20 would be perfect. Alright, there they're coming. And it seems like there's going to be enough Zerglings right now. Oh, no, not like this. You want to kind of catch them together, but... Ooh, more zealots coming up, so... This is not... If the ramp gets walled in... Oh, that's a good wrap around. That's a good wrap around. And some drones for good measure. Yeah, pretty smart. Pretty good attack. Sorry, pretty good defense by trutacz. And that's kind of what he really needs to not be in a bad position against this build, I would assume, which is really constantly get ready to defend the first attack. Because at this point, the double Stargate are coming anyway because of the possibility of mutas. And at the same time, there's very little that Djem5 can do until he actually gets like 7 Corsairs. Because moving out with these zealots without having any information about the map is going to be a problem. So I would assume that the reason why a game would be won or lost by either trutacz or Djem5 in the early stage of the game, in the later stage of the game, is because of how well these zealots do early on. Okay, so we do this, the double Stargate, pretty early Citadel, and the +1 for the zealots. Okay, let's see when the Citadel actually starts making the speed, and when we see the gateway explosion. I would assume that the reason why Djem5 adds the Citadel so early when this attack fails, instead of adding it later on when this attack is doing relatively well, is because after it fails, Djem5 realizes that he has to have eventually some presence on the map, and if he waits with the Citadel for a while, then by the time that he does get out, trutacz might have like half of the map and a huge amount of army. So just to be able to threaten, but at the same time be able to run away, he needs the speed a lot sooner if he doesn't do any damage. Okay, so the Corsairs are going to be flying around trying to check what trutacz is actually up to, and trutacz is going for a very fast hive. Actually, I like that quite a lot. Is trutacz going to be going something like Crazy Zerg? If I remember correct, well, Crazy Zerg, is Crazy Zerg only against Terrans, or is it also against Protoss if you skip Hydras and Mutas, I guess? No, okay, so no, we do have Hydras and we do have Lurkers, so it's not what could be considered as Crazy Zerg. Although Lurker Ling is quite awesome. I do think that's one of the coolest builds out there. I really like Lurker Ling builds because they do give a lot of these kind of dances between storms on Zerglings, but Dragoon hitting only... Okay, there's an attack. Good position on the Zerglings, but unfortunately still a lot of Zealots in here, and they don't have the +1. Oh my god. Oh no. They don't have the +1 attack. So they came too early. I mean, okay, with the Lurkers it would still probably not do that much, but you usually want to have the +1 and with the speed lot attack. Oof, that didn't do too much damage. I mean, it's lost the entire army. Oh, that's bad. That's really, really bad. Yeah, the +1 is done now. When the only surviving unit is a Zealot on the main. And at the same time, we do have cracklings already being researched. Well, that's bad. That's really bad. And it seems like this is actually a denied base as well, so... Yeah, look at these zealots. Like, Djem5 just sends the zealots against the drones and doesn't seem to care. Well, I mean, if it works, right? Worked last time. But in this game, I don't think it's gonna work. KDT is gonna clean this up. There's some lurkers here, so if Djem5 doesn't realize this, he still could lose the building probe to those and still be delayed by quite a lot. Alright, Courser's running away from the Scourges, obviously. Slow Overlords yet, of course, because because trutacz made a very a very early hive, so because of that, there's still no Overlord speed. And again, Zealot's running and trying to kill some drones. Now, they're not gonna do that much. And cracklings are done. They have no attack upgrade yet. Oh. Oh my. That's not good. It's a lot of damage to trutacz, really, because he's taking a 4th. Trutacz is taking a 4th right now, and he has 40 drones over 3 bases. That's definitely low. And on 4, that would be really, really way too low. So, right now, Djem5 can take a 3rd. However, trutacz is actually ahead in supply? What? How did that happen? Now, there are cracklings, and they're definitely gonna... Oh! High temper snipe, and probe snipe, and nexus snipe. Well, oh my... Look at that! Look at that amount of units gonna... destroying this... Whoa, that's so fast with a crack. The DT is probably still gonna clean this up, but the cracklings are doing a big number on his opponent, on Djem5. Even like with these not so great upgrades, wait until these cracklings actually do have a lot of upgrades. And also, look at the fact that there's still lurkers being produced. Djem5 is now trying to take a hit in expansion, and even if he does take it, by the time that he has it, I think this base is going to be saturated completely, so... Yeah, the fire mount is coming up as well. The upgrades are right now coming from 2 Evos, and we have only 1 Forge, which is not even... Wow, that's so bad. Oh, no, that's bad. Djem5 is not upgrading anything right now, and trutacz is still at 2 armor right now. So, yeah, that's gonna be really bad. He's going to have a lot of trouble to fight against so heavily upgraded Zerglings. Look at how fast his army is melting. Wow, oh shoot. Djem5 is at 3k? Almost 3k minerals. I mean, I know that when you're taking a base, you're spending a lot of money because, like, 3 pylons, this, and let's say even 10 cannons. So yeah, you're spending then a lot, but even then, it looks really bad for Djem5 in this game. Especially because this kind of build of pure Zerglings is kind of easy to constantly do and constantly send. And at the same time, by sending constant units, you get to build more bases, because Zerglings are cheap after all. So it does seem like trutacz is really in a good position right now. Let's see, this might happen to be a 2-2 very, very soon. If this base dies again... Oh, ADT trying to do something, not gonna work. Okay, this is a better defense, this is a much better defense by Djem5. Yeah, there was a lot of Zerglings died, although some did break through. And there are some lurkers coming up, so trying to... And there is Swarm already. Ooh. Look at how fast everything dies. And that's still with 0 upgrades. Now it's 1. Yeah, I think Djem5 is going to GG like in a second. Because without a third, you can't do anything. Like, you can't play on 2 base. There's a Reaver now. Well, that's nice, but it's really way too late. I mean, Reavers obliterate Zerglings, yes, but it's not gonna matter when you cannot produce almost... Like, Djem5 can make like a lot of Zealots, but against Lurker Link, Zealots are not good. And yeah. Alright. Well, that was a really weird game. That was really weird. I mean, I understand that trutacz basically kind of hard countered what Djem5 used to do, but still.